Hello, hello, and welcome to A Slight Chance of Adventure, a Pathfinder First Edition campaign diary podcast. My name is Tyler. I was the DM of this campaign, and with me I have two of my players, Gavin
Hello, I played Shanna.
and Tom.
Hi, I played Orcus.
Last time, uh, they were moving through a blighted region called Blight, and Shanla died. Then she got better. They lost a crystal. They traveled over to the town of Hintella. Shanla had a nap, had a vision, and we pick up as they wake up in a rainstorm. So, I made a little bit of a mistake last time. Uh, Last session actually went on a little bit longer than we talked about last time. If you remember the vision we talked about, do
Yeah.
you remember that?
I remember, yeah.
So after that, in the thunderstorm, you guys had previously talked about, and I think at some point before this, decided that the next place you were going to was Old Hintella. Do you remember Old Hintella?
You'll have to refresh my memory.
So there was so you remember Hintella, the city where Tuisma lived and shit on Wanatuma?
Yeah, it's the big just city.
Yeah, there was bay, and across the entrance to the bay, on the other side of the land, there was an old ruined city that was destroyed in the last destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Set of ruins.
And it was old Hintella.
It was old Hintella, yeah, because it was Hintella. Then it got destroyed, and they built Hintella on the other side of the entrance to the Wanatuma Bay, and then that was New Hintella.
Yeah, that makes yeah, I remember now because we figured in the ruins there might be some sort of hint as to what caused it and what preparations. There was some reason to go there.
Yeah, the particular thing you were looking for was there were rumors of vaults that had been built to survive the destruction, and they wanted you to go there to see if you could find did these vaults, why didn't they work? Because haven't heard any survivors coming out of vaults and shit.
Or if they're even real.
So that was a rumor that had been brought up, I think, during the meeting. And you guys had been like, hey, go look at that at some point. And I think some point last session you decided, yeah, we'll go do that. So at the end of last session, you guys went, booked a boat to cross over to Old Hintella. During a lightning storm, so I think you had to pay a bit or find a particularly rowdy, hardy captain to take you across.
Some couple of mavericks.
Yeah. And then we ended as two flying forms approached the boat. That's where the last session actually ended off. So that's what actually happened. Anyway, so the two creatures that were approaching the boat were called Hala. They're demons, right? And I have written here
Spooky.
that that you fought two Hala and beat them with epic finishing moves. They were two flying humanoid things. Now, I don't exactly remember what the epic finishing moves were. Do either of you have pictures in your head?
I don't remember any of that.
I think one of them would have been my bow, and the other would have been our druid's lightning cast.
I think one of them was the
I
lightning.
believe that was one of them.
That or Furus, but I know one of them died to Orcus jumping up and cutting off its wings. I remember.
Oh yeah, more epic than I have remembered.
Yeah, I don't remember that fight at all. I'll be honest.
But the funny thing about this fight is these things actually had DR 10, and I was like, "There's no way.
Oh,
There's no way they're gonna get through DR 10." So I reduced it to DR 5, because you can imagine how things would have gone. And it was still tedious with DR 5. I remember to actually get through.
Yeah,
Especially at our level, because we were 3?
we only got up to level 7.
These things were supposed to be I remember the CR was roughly a thing you should be able to beat, but then they just had DR 10 for some reason.
DR is a trick. In every system, DR is a trick, a lie.
I was gonna
What do you say, Tom?
I was gonna say, was it a DR slash thing?
Well, yeah, it was DR cold iron, but they can't just give it DR 10 and then assume, oh yeah, they'll have cold iron. You can't just make a balanced decision like that, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
up to the DM to decide. Like, do they have access, or is this going to be like way harder than projected?
Or are they planning to fight demons?
For whatever reason they had DR10, I reduced it. You killed them in some epic finishing move. Orcus cutting off their wings and, I don't know, shoving them in their fucking mouth. I don't think that's what happened.
No, I think I took those as a trophy.
Yeah, I do know you took like some of the wings as a trophy. I do know that. That's in particular what I remember. I just remember, yeah, you cut off wings. So I'm sure the drawing for that will look great.
Oh, I hope it does.
Anyway, so you guys make your way closer to Old Hintella after surviving the fight. The particular thing about Old Hintella is there was like a big cliff with a tower on top, like an old lighthouse.
Yeah.
That's like the imagery that was generally evoked of it, like the big crumbling tower. In particular, the reason for that is because like Wanatuma was hit by earthquakes a lot of the time, and so like that section just got raised up a whole long ways to put the like that was the lower explanation for like why the big cliff with
Ground got shaky.
Because theoretically before it would have just been like normal height lighthouse, and now it's like, oh, it's on a mountain.
yeah, now it's like ominous and probably tilted a little bit.
Leaning Tower of Crumbles.
Yes. You make your way. I think you like dock a little ways away from the ruins and then head in on land. So I remember describing, like trying to describe the shattered landscape of like big cracks in the ground, crumbled buildings, that it was ruins. Like I was trying to like really evoke the feeling of like a city that got destroyed by an earthquake.
Yeah.
Saint Katrina. Oh, not Saint Katrina. You know Hurricane Katrina, that thing? All those images? Yeah, that's what you're trying to evoke.
I think I've heard of hurricanes before. I don't know what they are, though.
Anyway, you visit a couple places throughout the ruins that you spot, like an old barracks, an old temple of Hestra. Apparently not much of relevance happened there.
I do remember that we went to like the top of the lighthouse to like look over the city, see what we can see from up there.
Yeah. There were jokes about Orcus being the classic rogue brooding up there, I remember.
Yeah, well, see, we'll skip to that. Because, yeah, later, you guys actually rested there. After exploring the city a little bit, you do manage to find the entrance to the vault. And then you're like, okay, but it's a storm and crazy outside. Let's not go down here just yet. Let's go rest. So you guys go. It says...
Because we had just fought those demons still as well.
Yeah. And I think the reason, like, Orcus was, like, talked about it brooding, is because he, like, climbed up the tower and in through the second window to, like, check the place out before you guys entered.
Get a good view, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All he really needed was a gargoyle up there. Would have completed the whole brooding set.
No, he doesn't have a hood. He never had a hood, I don't think.
I thought he had a hood. I have this image of Orcus that just wasn't what he was.
No.
You just put Rogue onto him and assumed that's what he,
No,
who he
I
was.
put Grumpy Boy on him. I don't think of Rogues as grumpy. I thought he was like grumpy and grimy. Because like the first time I met him, he like drudged himself out of the ocean, right?
Yeah. But like he kept himself relatively clean. Like as a person.
But were his hands clean? Find out next time. On the episode that we're still doing.
Anyway, so you guys rest in the old tower. Watches happen. Nothing crazy happened. Oh, so I remember the reason you guys were like worried about the entrance to the vault is you heard scratching on the other side.
Yeah.
We had to be ready for a fight.
And you know, when you go into a dungeon, you gotta be rested up.
Exactly. Anyway, so apparently when you come back the next day, the scratching is even louder, worse. Honestly, I have no idea where the vault was or how you found it. I probably have that noted in my notes somewhere. I'll probably put an info about it later, but it was
not important.
It existed. Well, I think we just like, you know, that area seems important. Important stuff must be over there.
I think it was like hidden in some building. There was like, I think it may have been the old temple, and then like it was covered in rubble. I know that because this is stuff we learn later. So you guys open the doors. Orcus apparently is the one who opens the doors. Everybody's like behind him with their shit readied. And when you open it, Shanla, chucks like a stone she's made glow with like the light spell, and throws it down, and you see like a bunch of skeletons piled up against the door, like clearly having wanted to get out, some of which are moving.
I do remember these skeletons. They're it wasn't like the skeletons that were important, it's just how we dealt with it.
Right.
We were way more worried than we should be.
Yeah, I forget who it was. I think it was Elika. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was
So it says,
druid.
so apparently, Sean, let you channel to destroy
Yeah.
something. And then after this, apparently you guys just stand around being like, should we go? Should we not? Should we? And Elika.
Well, we were discussing how to get rid of them.
Yeah, and Elika was just like,
Yeah.
fuck this, and just marches in. And just like, and I remember like the way it was narrated, she just walked in, like any skeleton that just reaches for her, which clearly aren't that threatening, they're like barely moving, she just smacks the head and like smacks away, and everybody's like, oh okay,
Oh.
and follows.
We thought
her.
it was going to be worse than that.
Yeah.
I thought they possessed like an actual danger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember I was
we all
like thinking
did.
to myself, I made these things. They were mostly just like a setting detail to like tell you, oh look,
Yeah.
something happened in here. They were trapped, and just in my world, like when a lot of things die in one place, necromantic energy kind of just happens. So like a little couple of them get raised.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough for like a particularly strong necromancer. So like none of them were dangerous. You make your way down and down and down. Because what this place was like an old cave entrance that had been made further down into like vaults. And as you're making your way down, you come upon a broken spiral staircase. Like it was a spiral staircase, a section of it is broken. And I remember, this was like unexpectedly fun, I think, for you guys, of just like,
Yeah.
how do we get
The
down?
rope and stuff.
Yeah, there was like this whole. I'll explain it, but like there was this whole thing you guys did of like, figuring out, okay, who climbs down, how we move this rope, how do we, like, you had to. It was just a fun little challenge that just kind of happened, and I was like, that's cool. So how you figure it out is Orcus holds the rope, Ferris climbs down, nearly falls, and pulls himself back up. Shanla climbs down with ease. A rope is tied to Leon, the Elika's cat.
The cat.
And Orcus, you attempt to lower him down, but apparently lose your grip on the rope, and Leon is caught by Ferris, who's down below. it's saving him. Rope is tossed back up, and Elika climbs down and jumps over to the others. I don't know. I think she like was swinging for a bit. I think she maybe like really got a bad check, was swinging and had to jump off. And then, oh yeah, I remember, because there was nowhere to fasten the rope. It was like a question of who's going to hold the rope and make it their way down without the rope. And Orcus, being good at climbing, was the one who held the rope.
Yeah.
And I remember you got like a massive check on this to like do a really impressive rock climbing.
Yeah, it was really high roll.
No one died, surprisingly.
It was great, yeah. And then, so you make your way further down, until you reach a central vault. You kill some more skeletons. And then, this thing like called a Gravebound. This was like the thing I wanted you guys to fight a little bit in here. It was like a earth skeleton thing that like could create pits and like was, like could like meld into the ground and stuff. You guys fight a little bit. I think you like kill a couple skeletons, and then it runs away. And then, that's actually where the session ended, and you guys level up. So the discussion we've decided to have this time for the outro discussion, suggested by Tom, is that CR is bullshit.
It is. I agreed.
It is, yes. Gavin has some particular, I think, the strongest opinions on this. So do you want to start us off, Tom? Or Gavin? Shit.
Same person, really. Honestly.
Totally, yeah.
CR. I don't know who decides CR, but I don't think they've ever actually played a game of a tabletop game, because CR has always been a problem with every tabletop game. It's not exclusive.
Right, yeah, I hear about problems in D&D too.
Yeah, like there'll be a red dragon, like a young red dragon that's like one CR higher than a young bronze dragon, but the same party fighting the young red dragon will get one shot by it, but they'll one shot the bronze dragon because it has like 30 health.
Right.
Yeah, that's odd.
That's just in 5th edition.
I do think that's where a lot of issues with CR come in, is like abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, if they give a creature unreasonably strong abilities for its level, but they're like, oh, the DC is low. Okay, but if you fail the DC, you're still, like, fucked,
Yeah.
right?
Breath
like a
weapons.
ghoul in Pathfinder.
Yeah, the classic that Gavin, Tom just mentioned, fuck, again, is ghouls. Ghouls just tear parties apart. They're a classic TP. I
Yeah.
think they do it in D&D too because of their paralysis, just for hitting
My
you.
first character and my first character death
Mm-hmm.
happened in the same session because of a ghast that I think it was a ghast or a ghoul that like paralyzed me and my entire party.
Gas is just a super ghoul.
Yeah, just like completely wiped the floor with us because
Right.
well, like we got paralyzed and there's nothing we could do.
I think part of the issue of why CR is so bad is because the people designing the characters, like, if you have, for instance, like in a video game, you can check the data of how much, like, players are hating on this character or dying to this character, while in, like...
they don't have as easy access to, like, statistics.
You just have to ask players, hey, how's it going, or see what happens in their games.
You can't exactly nerf or buff.
Yeah.
Like you can't do balance control for like for a bestiary because like there's like 200 200 monsters in there and like you can't just like, oh, here's an update. It's like, no, I already bought the book. I can't buy another one.
Well, I know Pathfinder actually does do that. They release like new editions of books with changes, or at least they did. I don't know. I mean, we just go off the online.
Yeah, we use
resource for it.
the website for everything.
So, which it has all of the changes that happen.
I believe they just have the most up-to-date
Most
versions, I believe.
Yeah.
Which theoretically should be the most balanced ones.
Oh yeah, to like give some credit to designers and stuff. Like if it's a problem across multiple things, then you could think, okay, well, what's the actual problem? I think part of it is like some abilities are just too strong, but also there's like different party compositions, right, and different play styles.
Yeah.
That you can't really account for. The game is just too dynamic to like slap a single number on a creature and be like, yes, that's how hard it is. Like it could be child's play for one party if they have like, I don't know, a paladin, and then it's like destroy another party if they like had no defined casters. That is like just a thing I can imagine.
Using paralysis on the ghoul as an example, if you're like an archer, if you have like a very range heavy comp that could nuke it from a ghoul from a distance, it's not going to be necessarily so bad. Especially if you have like a druid can probably take it out pretty well, but if you have like a full melee, then it's going to be a lot more dangerous. Unless you have like really high AC to go with it.
And also, I feel like it's also going to depend heavily on the terrain that you're fighting in, because with the ghast example I had before, technically only one of us could fight it at a time. The ghast, because it was like in a room where like it was blocking off the doorway, so like me and my allies, we could only like go at one at a time, so we just kept getting destroyed by it, unfortunately.
Right. And I think that actually another thing that could lead to this is like the play style and DMing style of the DM, because like some DMs have much better tactics than other DMs, you know,
or much more dickhead tactics.
Yeah. So like if they see like an ability and they're like, ooh, I could do this with that in this circumstance, and then like throws it, and suddenly the thing is like 4 CR higher because it's being used like really well in a way that the designers maybe didn't quite imagine, or thought like, nobody would be this cruel.
I think
you know?
For that, like when I DM personally, I try to do it like I try to treat the choices as what would the enemy do rather than what is the best choice in this combat, because these are people playing a game through a story, but other people might do it as this is combat gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. For me in particular, like I find if I throw encounters at the party like in the way the CR system tells you to, which is like generally the total CR is like a bit lower than the party actually just destroys it.
Yeah.
That might be for a couple of reasons, like how we build our characters and stuff.
Yeah.
power creep and whatever.
We're not necessarily
But,
power
like-
gamers, but we know what we're doing, and we typically...
we know enough what we're doing that like the party will destroy, but then there's like this fine line where like if you go past it, you make an encounter that like will probably destroy them or like will kill one of them, and you don't want every encounter to be like killing a character, but you want them to be fun. So it's really difficult to like use CR to like create an encounter that is challenging but won't kill anyone, is engaging but won't.
And CR doesn't
help that much with that, yeah. So I find my solution to like get past the CR thing is, you know, just on the fly adjustments and like, oh, this thing won't hit the character who just fell down. You know, you change the tactics a little bit to not be too brutal.
Yeah.
While still presenting a challenge. And like if the player screws up, yeah, they still get punished now. You don't just be unreasonably kind.
If you're in a long hallway that has pillars against archers, maybe don't stand in the open of the hallway and try to use the pillars.
Spoilers,
for
Tom.
example.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like my solution to like CR being an issue, is just change your tactics a little bit to like smooth out and make it a challenge but not destroy, or make it maybe possibly, or if they're like the enemies are really struggling, go hard. You know, so I just adjust like how I exactly play the exact choices the monsters make to make it feel still challenging, well, not always kill. And then sometimes you just throw something where like, yeah, somebody could die here, and you generally it's a good idea to make it clear, I think, to players if a death is possible. You know,
Yeah.
There's like a different tone you set. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about like solutions to the CR problem?
Typically, I would think, obviously you can't do mock combat because your players are already, like, you can't do that because then you'd be essentially telling the players what you're going to fight later, so you can't do that.
Unless you have your player's character sheets, then you could do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could take some time, but I can see that.
Yeah.
Maybe testing
One thing is obviously read through exactly what the abilities do, rather than just trusting the CR, like learning what the abilities actually do, what spells the guy has access to, that sort of thing. And
it can also make like things unreasonably easy if like a DM just doesn't quite understand what its monster's supposed to do. And it's just like, well, it ran up and hit them. It's like, well, it's a spellcaster. You're not supposed to hit them with it. You know?
Yeah. I think another thing, theoretically, you could ask other DMs on like if you're like in a Discord server of it, or if you just get second opinions, that kind of thing.
Gavin, any thoughts?
It's not really a solution, but an important thing to realize is that CR will never account for the luck of players.
Oh yeah, obviously.
And I remember like there's some encounters that are just like, oh, this is supposed to be very hard for you guys. Like this was supposed to kick your guys' ass, but just because Tyler's a shitty roller. He's one of the worst rollers I've ever seen.
Oh no. Like as a DM, you mean?
No. Well, no, just like your dice hate you, man. I don't know what to say. Yeah. They'll just kick your ass no matter what you're doing. It's very rare that.
It's funny.
Like whether you're a player or not, because like you've played in my games and like in other games, and your dice just like no, they refuse.
You don't like me.
Maybe you need new dice, man.
I don't know. Yeah, I've used like the same dice for ages. I have like of our friend group. I'm the guy who DMs the most, but I have like the least dice.
They're getting old. They're tired, man. You gotta give them a rest.
Yeah.
Gotta give some new blood.
The funny thing is, I don't complain that like I'll mention it, but I'll like move on. I remember Fierce's player. He complains about his dice a fair bit. And I know Tom, you'll like put stuff in dice jail.
No, I don't do dice jail. Elika's player does dice jail. I have character dice is what I do.
Right.
And because that kind of,
I think we're getting a little off topic now.
That's not CR, that's dice shenanigans.
Yes.
Dice has to be talked about.
We'll talk about dice in another episode, Gavin. It's okay. We'll have plenty of episodes. This is going to go on for ages. It's going to be... Anyway.
But yeah, this... luck and rolls do matter, because
luck,
critting a
DMing
player
style,
or getting crit.
player builds.
Yeah.
I can see why CR is an issue, abilities, but
There's just too much variability to be properly accurate with CR.
any objections to that conclusion, Evan, or do you think we can end here?
What happens will be in God's hands, and God is not kind.
But remember,
Yeah.
technically
Is
you are
that
God.
no? That's a good quote. We're gonna end the episode there.
Mhm.
Say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.